Sony has let many of their first-party studios branch out for their franchises that built them, and while Ghost of Tsushima isn't a huge departure from Sucker Punch's previous open-world fare, the genre and aesthetic couldn't be more different. Ghost of Tsushima succeeds on nearly every level, even if it doesn't provide anything groundbreaking the genre hasn't seen before. And in the director's cut on PlayStation 5, minor improvements and a wonderful visit to the new island of Iki make the experience even better. Like all open-world games, it can be difficult to keep up the pace of the main narrative. Many of the side quests build directly into the main story, or at the very least, expand character depth for the companions that will help you on your quest to take back the island. But Ghost of Tsushima is guilty of allowing the player to lose the plot. While the freedom to stop any quest right in the middle of it and start another one, free roam, or really do whatever you want allows for great freedom, it can hinder the storytelling. Despite the free approach to the primary narrative, Jin's journey is quite compelling. It's a linear tale in the sense that the player's choice makes no impact. Sucker Punch wants to tell you a specific story, and luckily it pays off. It also doesn't interfere with the style of gameplay that you prefer, with either style lending to Jin's arc. While most of the side quests deal with your companions tied directly into the story, there are plenty of one-off quests that do nothing to add to the narrative, except to further the legend of the ghost. There are some special side quests that result in a special piece of gear or a skill that do just as much to flesh out the mythology of the land. The island of Tsushima is the ultimate story mechanic here. It is why Jin is doing what he's doing, defending the history, the culture, and the breathtaking scenery at whatever cost. Ultimately, the sacrifices Jin makes or doesn't make leads to interesting relationship dynamics and an ending that carries much more weight than the revenge story against the Mongols. It's a rather damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. The context of the island, politics, class structure, supporting characters, and some of the mythology are all bettered by many of the quests away from the main storyline, but it does not remove some of the urgency and drama of keeping the main story's pace. It's hard to argue that there is a more beautiful, stunning, or awe-inspiring game that came during the last generation, but it still almost holds true for the PlayStation 5. The world has been meticulously crafted and is just as much of a character as the characters themselves. Every scene is a perfectly taken photograph of the most dramatic sunrise and sunset. Lightning-soaked skies, sun rays peeking through the clouds onto long grass or yellow autumn leaves falling onto your path. It's cinematic to say the least, and astonishing more often than not. Lighting is perhaps the catalyst for this beauty, and at a whim the player can control it through a lovely flute melody. Even the moonlight shining on the marshlands takes your breath away. There is no understating how many times Ghost of Tsushima impresses with its environments. The Kurosawa mode, while it's a cool feature and allows you to play the game in black and white and can add that film grain, really is a disservice to the beauty of it all. Because of how impressive the environments are, the character models and facial animation just don't match, really. It's still great, but it's not generationally defining. Much of the detail is put into Jin's gear. The katana looks immaculate and sharp, and the handle and sheath, which you can customize, are detailed down to the thread. Same goes with armor and hardware. These details make the customization worth the cost of acquiring. The gameplay animations are quite superb. They are crucial to the timing and precision needed during swordplay, which is just so glorious and balletic. Jin switches stances and performs techniques that are never jarring. There are some clipping moments outside of combat, and you can get caught on some cliffs, or maybe your cape is going through a tree. But it's not flawless when it breaks, but it flows well most of the time. These are minor issues, and they do nothing to detract from the most stunning environments seen on either the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. It comes down to the superb swordplay, to put it succinctly. Combat is both simple and deep, while centered around your katana. There are no hit points, there's no specific number of hits needed to fell your enemies. When a fatal slash meets that mark on you or your enemy, there will be death. This is the same at the beginning of the journey or towards the end. This doesn't mean that you can deliver the fatal blow every time, however. breaking an opponent's guard, parrying their attack to create an opening requires timing, knowledge of your enemy's attack type to do so. There are 4 stances acquired throughout the game, and they're each designed to combat specific enemy types. For example, a swordsman with a shield is going to be fought differently than one without a shield. Technically, any of the stances can take down your enemy, but the effectiveness is quite different. That's the primary factor to why the combat just never gets old. Movements are quick and precise, and landing that killing blow is very satisfying. The open world katana combat with the aid of your ghost skills combined to make taking down enemy encampments pure joy. If walking in unannounced and fighting the horde with your katana is preferred, you can do that, but the other option is a more stealth-like approach. Jin comes to the realization early on that to beat the Mongols, he cannot solely rely on his samurai tactics. It is in this that he becomes more like a ninja, shinobi, using throwing objects, bombs, smoke, and most of all, assassinations from behind or above. Stealth is rather rudimentary compared to, say, like Metal Gear Solid or even the early Assassin's Creed games. It's more akin to Marvel's Spider-Man. Other than alerting more guards, there really isn't much punishment for being found. And by then you're using your complement of ghost weapons to aid your katana. It's seamless and never once did it feel like a failure when stealth failed. This free-roaming style isn't all that is to be offered with swordplay. There are special abilities that make taking on enemies easier, but the standouts are the one-on-one duels. Straight from samurai cinema, these duels require you to master swordplay without the use of the aforementioned ghost weapons. They are definitely a highlight and are essentially the bosses of Ghost of Tsushima. While not all physics are obeyed, the combat style is based in reality. Weapons and armor can be upgraded and provide different advantages, and it really depends on your style of play to determine what you prefer, or it can be completely situational. However, it is excellent the katana swordplay that elevates Ghost of Tsushima above similar open-world games. And in the director's cut, differentiating from the original, you can actually set gear and just switch between them instead of always having to change out your different gear types and your charms that are associated with them. So it really makes it better for different situations. If you want to play like the Ghosts, you have that ready to go. Being stealthy, if you want to go in and play just full combat, full armor, most health that you can get, that works. If you want to kind of have a mix between, you can use different armor and different styles for that as well. So it really does a good job improving upon that of the original game. While it does nothing original in terms of expanding the open world genre, it does everything well and some things best in class. It is staggeringly beautiful in almost every moment and is the definitive samurai epic that has taken much too long to grace gaming.